So I'm making bean soup. I put olive oil first. It's olive oil for cooking only, not for seasoning, because the extra virgin olive oil you use for seasoning, but you can't use it for cooking because it's toxic. So you have to be careful with that. Then more or less this amount of salt, like you put just a little bit of salt, like a handful of salt in the pan. Sorry about the rusted English. Then you let the onions become golden and softer, so the taste becomes better. So, now next stage. Okay, so next stage we're gonna add the other ingredients. This is roughly 4 or 5 carrots cut into pieces. Also potatoes, like about 700 grams. I'm sorry about the metric units, but so 700 grams of potatoes. You don't need to peel them if they're like just wash them. Okay, so you add the potatoes, and now I'm gonna have to cut the garlic and add it also. Okay, so I just dropped the last of the garlic in there. Now it's a little hard to do this with only one hand because I'm holding the phone with the other one. But basically I'm mixing it all with the olive oil and to get that taste with the onions for like a couple of minutes, and it smells really nice. This will guarantee that the soup will really taste nice even after pouring the water. Okay, now I'm going to pour the water just until it covers the mixture. Okay, so I just poured the water. Now we're gonna let it boil again. Not again, but we're gonna let it boil. When it starts boiling, we'll come back. So we have the mixture here. The oven is on full power, and now we're gonna cover it and wait for it to boil. While we wait for the water to boil, this is a can of beans that I just dropped here, just for you to check the size. It's more or less this size. Okay, now I'm gonna wash the preservative from the bean because it's canned. Get off all that chemicals, and they're ready to add to the soup once it stops boiling. Okay, so I can see that the water is starting to boil, so we're now gonna lower the intensity of the heat. Oh, lowered too much. We're going to lower the intensity of the heat and let it boil for 10 minutes. Lowering gradually because it's going to gonna start boiling over and over as I lower the temperature. So I'm gonna put 10 minutes here on the clock. Minutes, a little less because it started boiling about a minute ago. And you have to control it because at first it seems like it's not boiling a lot, but after a while it starts boiling more again, so you're gonna have to lower it again. And I found that after a few minutes I end up having to drop it all the way down to 5 in the intensity in my oven. So as you can see, it's already raising the intensity of the boil. Okay, so we're gonna come back as soon as the 10 minutes are past the boiling to add the beans. Note that for it to boil, it doesn't need to be a very strong boil. It's just a minimum movement in the water, in the mix. I mean, you only need to have a minimum movement. Anything more than that and you're wasting energy. It's not helping anything in the cooking. So I'm already dropping to 10. Now I'm gonna drop to 9, 8 in fact. As you can see, it's still boiling at 8. Now I'm gonna drop to 7, 6, okay, 6. And you still have a boil, as you can see. So you're spending less energy and it's still boiling the soup. Okay, so as you can see, the time is almost, yep, sorry for that. As you can see, the 10 minutes have passed. Now we're going to add the beans. Gonna mix a little bit first. Raising the power again, because once you remove the lid, most of the heat dissipates and you need to compensate. Now we're gonna let it boil for another 10 minutes. After mixing, of course, mixing it well. Don't forget that I already added the salt and the olive oil at the start with the onions. So we're gonna cover it again. And we're gonna do the exact same thing we did. Gradually gonna lower the power with the objective of having a minimum boiling. So can start reducing a little bit. Oh. And okay, so let's count here 9 minutes or 8 minutes, in fact. Okay, 9. We have 9 minutes again, and we'll come back after that to. So the next stage will be blending the soup, and then a little more heat and adding the spinaches as the final stage. We'll be right back. As you can see, the power right now is at level 4, which is like half of the intensity, and we have a steady boiling. It could even be lower to 3, probably 3, almost at the minimum power, so very economical, and you're still having a good boil, so don't waste any energy. Okay, so the 10 minutes have ended, the second session of 10 minutes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the oven for now, and just increase the suction a little bit. And we're going to mix it. We're going to mix the soup with one of these. It's already assembled. The wire is messed up, but it still works. Nothing a little tape can fix. So I'm gonna need to use this for now. Remove the battery charger and plug in the mixer. I don't know what you call this, the exact word, so sorry for that, but I'm sure you have one just like that. Okay, so so as not to make a huge mess, what we're going to do is, so as not to make a huge mess, what we're going to do is we're only going to press the button. We're not going to press it at the surface, otherwise it's going to splash all over the kitchen. You're going to have to go all the way to the bottom, like push the ingredients to the bottom. Once you feel it hit the bottom, you're going to hit it. Because if you press the button at this level, it would splash all over myself and the phone. So you basically, now once most of the soup is liquefied, you can then raise it a little bit more than that and let it like spin. Let the soup spin around it like this, but don't raise it too much or it's gonna splash all over the kitchen. Okay, this is the maximum. Anything more than this and it's gonna splash everywhere. It's gonna splash the soup everywhere. So it's done. Now we're gonna add the spinaches. I'm gonna drop the blade here, unplug the machine. Okay, so just checking the final steps. Okay, so now we're gonna add the spinaches and heat for another 5 minutes. Just a second. Okay, so I have a spinach package here. It's in Portuguese, so don't mind the strange words there. Then we're gonna dump it all into the soup. Dump it all in. Oop. Trying not to let anything fall on the oven itself, although the oven is not hot. Okay, so just removing all the leaves that are left. I was actually trying to remove a part of the drawing here, I could stay here all day trying to take that off. So now we're gonna push the spinach inside the soup. It's gonna get softer. And now we're going to turn the oven on for another 5 minutes. Oh, unlock. And now maximum again, maximum power, because it's been off the heat for some time. Oh, it's already starting to boil. Oh, too much. Okay, now we're gonna let it boil for 5 minutes. So 5 minutes, and this is the final step. Basically, once these 5 minutes are done, the soup is ready to eat. Just be careful because it's hot. So we're gonna come back once the 5 minutes are done. Okay, so the 5 minutes are over. We're going to turn off the oven. And the soup is ready. If you don't like the spinaches like this, you can also use this to make them part of the mix, but I rather have the spinaches like this in the soup. It's a matter of preference. You can also adjust the amount of potatoes and carrots to your liking, and also especially the onions. Also depending on whether you want more or less soup. But that's it, basically. Here you have the bean soup ready to eat. I hope you find this useful. If you're watching this, that means you don't know shit about cooking. In that case, you're more or less on the same level as I am. So, as I'm learning to cook, I'm gonna try to pass my recent knowledge to everyone who's in the same situation as I am. The objective being becoming less reliant on eating out, basically. So enjoy. To say one thing, once the soup is done cooking, you can expect that it will take around 7 hours to cool down completely if you leave it in the pan. It will cool down faster if you pour it into smaller containers, of course, but you don't need to. You just leave it, just leave the soup like this. Maybe cover it with a net, just so bugs won't get to it or something. Flies or something like that, and leave it after 6 or 7 hours. It will be cool enough for you to put it in the fridge, and once it's in the fridge, it will last around a week. So it's that I thought that was important to mention.